What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, the Zoe, man. Back again with another one, man. You know what I'm saying? The grind don't stop over here. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna keep it going. I got y'all with something different today. You know what I mean? The innocent 5-year-old who was tortured to death by her own mom. You know what I'm saying? Crazy, man. All of y'all watch. If you're not a mother yet, you know what I'm saying? And you plan to be, and you still don't know how to handle a baby crying, a baby not listening, a baby being bad, toddler, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, screaming. If you can't handle that, if you know that you're gonna be doing something crazy when they do it, don't have no kids. It's okay to just be childless. You know what I mean? Just get you a dog or a cat. Get you a mouse or something. You know what I mean? Just get you a pet. You know what I'm saying? Don't have kids if you can't handle them kids. You know what I mean? Because it's not an easy thing. You know what I mean? It's not an easy thing. But without further ado, man, go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, leave a comment. You know what I'm saying? And show some love to the channel. Share it with your friends, your family, your grandma. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go.
Brianna Williams is seen here wearing her Navy uniform, riding as a passenger in a car on base. She knows police are investigating her for her daughter's disappearance. Williams has secretly drank an unknown substance before getting in this car. She's trying to kill herself when her body goes into shock.
With no sign of Taylor, police say Williams stopped cooperating. Tracking technology led detectives to Williams' hometown of Demopolis, Alabama, a place she had recently been before her daughter's disappearance. Detectives ultimately found Taylor's remains in a wooded area.
Authorities say the mother of a missing 5-year-old Florida girl is now booked into the Jacksonville jail after spending a week in the hospital for an apparent overdose. Brianna Williams is charged with child neglect and giving false information to investigators in the disappearance of her daughter, Taylor Rose Williams.
This is a particularly heartbreaking case because it involves the horrific torture and eventual murder of a beautiful little girl who did nothing wrong. Worst of all, the person responsible for her death was the person who was supposed to love and care for her the most, her own mother. This is the tragic story of Taylor Rose Williams. Taylor was born on February 12th of 2014 to her parents Brianna Williams and Maurice Kate in Lyon, Alabama. She was described as a sweet, adorable little girl with big brown...
Before we get started on this, bro, it seems like the more I watch these things, the more I keep seeing like the mom do something like this and the dad is either nowhere to be found or the dad allow it, absent, you know, like I said at the start, right? If you're planning to have kids, make sure both of y'all in their lives. Make sure the dad is there 100%. Because if not, and you know you can't do it by yourself, this shit is bound to happen. I'm just letting you know.
Eyes, who often wore her hair in braids. Taylor was a girly girl who loved the color pink and enjoyed brightly colored hair accessories. She also enjoyed playing in the pool and cuddling with her stuffed animals. Taylor's father, Maurice, attended Linden High School, where he played football as a linebacker. Upon graduation, he became a truck driver, which was a job that took him out of town a lot of the time. Brianna, on the other hand, attended Lyon High School, where she was very popular. She earned the title of valedictorian of the class of 2010 and was also her grade's homecoming queen. Brianna was obviously...
If you've been in a car accident, don't call an attorney. Use this AI app instead.
Obviously dedicated and a very hardworking student. But she was also involved in a lot of extracurriculars. She had big plans for her life and planned to study mechanical engineering in college. But she ended up shifting gears and making the decision to enlist in the Navy instead. Brianna was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia for a while before eventually being moved to Florida. By that point, she had her daughter Taylor who lived with her. Maurice was apparently not often a part of his daughter's life around this time. While living in Florida in an apartment complex in the Southside Villas, Brianna worked as a petty officer for the Navy at NAS Jacksonville. During that time, 5-year-old Taylor would usually attend daycare while her mother was at work. In November of 2019, Brianna ended up moving out of the Southside Villas apartment complex to a new apartment in Brentwood. At the time, some people thought this move seemed a little rushed, and it didn't sound like Brianna had much of a reason for it. Around this time, we know Taylor was no longer attending daycare. In fact, the last day that she had been seen at daycare was months earlier, on April 29th. Neighbors who lived near Brianna in her new apartment complex would later say that they saw her coming and leaving the apartment, but didn't see any children. Flash forward to November 6th of 2019. On that day, Brianna contacted the cops and reported her daughter as missing. She told the cops that she woke up and Taylor was just gone. As you can see in the cop body cam footage, she appeared to be pretty distraught. Initially, there was no reason to think that this was anything other than a little girl who might have wandered off away from home.
The former Navy petty officer appeared emotional on police body camera as she spoke with officers.
That's a fake ass crime.
This led to a massive search for Taylor. First responders and community members searched areas near Williams' home in Brentwood and the apartment they had just moved from on the south side.
Taylor was declared a missing person, and the cops took the case very seriously, beginning their search for the little girl immediately. An Amber Alert was called, and a $4,000 reward was posted for anyone who knew any information at all about Taylor's whereabouts. Over 300 members of law enforcement were out looking for Taylor.
Damn.
They searched both the Brentwood area and the area surrounding Brianna's previous apartment, but there was no sign of the little girl. But what they did find were some pretty shocking and appalling living conditions. They were the kind of conditions that nobody should be living in, and the apartment itself was a biohazard. There was trash everywhere and feces stains on the carpet. There was rotting food and maggots and others everywhere. This was clearly not a place where a child would be safe or healthy. As the cops continued with their investigation, they began to piece together some other pretty concerning things as well, including the fact that Taylor hadn't been to daycare in months and nobody had seen or heard from her. It was around this time that law enforcement began to suspect that Brianna had not been completely truthful about everything with them. Brianna told the cops that Taylor had been attending daycare at the Jacksonville Naval Air Station and staying with relatives in Alabama. But when law enforcement checked into this, they found out that this wasn't true. Why would she lie about this? Well, probably because when Brianna was at work during the day, Taylor was being left alone at home. Neighbors at Brianna's former apartment complex said that before Brianna moved out, Taylor hadn't been seen for weeks.
They look just alike. How can you do something like this to somebody that look exactly like you? That's insane. You gonna leave the kid at home by herself? Nobody else. She's just a toddler, bro. What's she gonna do when she hungry, man? Insane.
But back in April, one neighbor had seen Taylor wandering around the apartment complex alone during the day. This was presumably when Brianna was at work. At this point in the investigation, the cops were pretty suspicious that Brianna could have done something to hurt her daughter, and they officially considered her a person of interest. When Brianna figured out that the cops suspected her, she stopped cooperating altogether. Then tragically, on November 12th of 2019, the Demopolis Police Department found human remains in a rural area. It was believed that the remains could be Taylor's, but they were so decayed that testing would need to be done to see if the DNA matched up. The remains had been placed in a garbage bag and then buried in a shallow grave near a wooded area.
Wow.
In the meantime, the cops were building a case against Brianna. They found out that not only was Brianna keeping her daughter in deplorable conditions, but she had also been using so-called harsh punishments on Taylor. Now, these weren't even technically punishments, they were just straight up torture that no child should have to experience ever. They included keeping Taylor locked up in a tiny closet the majority of the time and starving her. Poor Taylor was so hungry that she would sometimes hide food. And when Brianna found out, she would torture her even further.
Wow.
On the same day that the remains were found that were suspected to belong to Taylor, Brianna attempted to take her own.
Bro, see this situation right there? And like in the Caribbean situation, if they find out a mom would do something like this, they'll be thinking you got possessed by a demon or something. They'll think like somebody in your someone in your family is doing magic, voodoo behind you or something to make you become this kind of person, because in their mind, you shouldn't be like this. You shouldn't be doing something like this, especially if you're a mother and you're doing that to your child. You shouldn't be doing that, man. That's insane. Wow, man.
Life by intentional overdose, but was not successful. This attempt at her life ended with her at the hospital and later behind bars.
Her daughter was the subject of an Amber Alert after the mom reported her missing back on November 6th. Well, nearly a week later, authorities found human remains in Demopolis, Alabama. They were still working to confirm whether those remains were hers or not.
Clearly, for Brianna to try to take her own life on the same day that they found human remains was a major red flag for the cops. They now believed that Brianna had taken the life of her own daughter by continual child abuse and neglect over time. The moment that Brianna attempted to take her own life by injecting Arm & Hammer detergent was actually caught on camera. And it is a pretty insane clip because you can see in her eyes how truly terrified she is. She knows she is so close to getting charged in connection with her daughter's death.
Brianna Williams.
My friend recently asked me for some
What
money.
is
and I
up
was
with
like,
these
"Why don't you
ads,
get
bro?"
power?" When I need cash and my paycheck is gone,
Shut
I
up.
just
Williams is seen here wearing her Navy uniform, riding as a passenger in a car on base. She knows police are investigating her for her daughter's disappearance. Williams has secretly drank an unknown substance before getting in this car. She's trying to kill herself when her body goes into shock.
The next clip shows the moment that another person in a military uniform walks up to the car and realizes what Brianna has just done. He can be heard cursing and trying to wake Brianna up.
Come on. You ain't going on me like that. Come on. This shot, man. You gotta get her in.
All right, go get help.
Yeah.
Get help.
After Brianna woke up and was treated in the hospital, she refused to answer any questions about her daughter and appeared emotionless when she later made her first court appearance. She also learned the news that the cops had confirmed that the human remains they discovered were that of her.
Killing your own kid and after that trying to kill yourself. That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Stupid. Why? You can't face up to what you've done. But you could live with the fact that you had, you know what I mean, killed your daughter. I bet you she would have been straight. She would have been fine if she'd never been suspected. You know what I'm saying? She would have been living her life. You know what I mean? But now that she's been suspected, now she's trying to end it off. Typical.
Daughters. Still, she was not immediately charged with Taylor's murder because in order for that to happen, the cops would need to determine the manner in which Taylor died.
Newly released evidence paints a clearer picture of the case against Brianna Williams. The Navy mother arrested after she reported her 5-year-old daughter missing last year. Williams is in jail on charges of aggravated child abuse, tampering with evidence, child neglect, and lying to police.
All of this time, law enforcement and the community as a whole had been frantically looking for this little girl, and now all signs were pointing towards Brianna, knowing where her daughter was the whole time and trying to cover things up.
It's all in connection with the disappearance and death of her little girl, Taylor Rose Williams. The child's remains were found in some Alabama woods. The cause of her death is undetermined.
The man who leases land near where little Taylor's body was found spoke out about the discovery that the little girl that everyone was searching for had been right there the whole time.
This is where police say remains were found, and they believe those remains were Taylor Williams. Now, the man I spoke with leases the property that's about a half a mile away from where detectives discovered the remains. He says it's shocking that out of all places, the horrific discovery was found here. In this rural area, surrounded by trees, is where detectives found human remains during the search for 5-year-old Taylor Williams in Marengo County, Alabama.
Considering this case began in Florida, nobody was anticipating for it to end in Alabama. The cops say that it was GPS technology that ultimately helped them search large areas of land and locate Taylor's remains.
I think it's amazing that they came all the way from Jacksonville, Florida up here and they were that accurate to pinpoint the vicinity and actually find the body right there.
Terry Randall leases the land half of a mile from where police found the remains. Randall says he saw crews searching his property on Sunday.
A Jacksonville FBI or some kind of agent told me there had been an abduction. They were looking for a body, so that's how I found out about it.
Russell says that even though he never met Taylor Williams, he will never forget her now.
Had you heard of Taylor Williams before you saw them?
No, well, I haven't.
Now it's going to be a name that you probably won't forget.
Won't ever forget that name, and I'll always think about it when I go by.
An autopsy was done to attempt to learn more about Taylor's horrific death. It described her condition as severely decomposed and skeletonized, indicating that she had been dead for an extended period. Only parts of her body were recovered, making it impossible to determine the exact cause of death, but evidence suggested she had been starved. And that's not all. The cops released more disturbing information about what they found at Brianna's previous apartment. They found a significant amount of blood that turned out to belong to Taylor. They also found a bunch of Taylor's belongings and toys that had been thrown out in the dumpster. It was as if Brianna allegedly killed Taylor, and she wanted to get rid of all the traces of her daughter, even throwing away toys that probably once meant a lot to the 5-year-old. Who could be this soulless? Clearly, this was someone with no conscience.
And Mary, I want to warn you, there are some disturbing details here. We have learned that detectives found Taylor's blood on a door handle, her clothes and toys in a dumpster, and 3 guns in the Brentwood home that her mother hastily moved to. It still does not tell us what happened to the 5-year-old girl, though.
The cops also publicly released photos that they took inside of that apartment, which truly show just how despicable the living conditions in the home really were.
Newly released photos from...
I'm waiting to hear about the dad. Where the hell is the dad on all this? What did he do? What did he think? What was his reaction to all this shit? Did he never... She was alone and she was going to work. Okay, cool. It was just them two. Why didn't she leave her with somebody else? I know she just moved to the apartment, you know what I'm saying? And nobody knew why she did it like that. But where the hell's her family? Where's the dad family? You know what I'm saying? Where's the dad? Nobody? Grandma? Where you at, Grandma? What?
The state attorney's office show the inside of Brianna Williams' Southside apartment as crime scene detectives cased it for clues after she reported her daughter Taylor missing. There are thousands of pictures now in the case file. Investigators say they found the girl's blood on a closet doorknob. We also now see pictures of what could be Taylor's belongings in a dumpster, a child's drawing, an outfit, a toy monkey.
And that's not all they found. They also found 3 deadly weapons inside of the home.
In her Brentwood home, where Brianna Williams recently moved, there were 3 guns found. You'll remember witnesses told police the military mom moved in, but there was no sign of her daughter. These documents also show Taylor's daycare attendance schedule at NES Jax. Her last day there was April 29th, 2019.
So, the last day that Taylor was at daycare was in April. But Brianna didn't report Taylor as missing until many months after that. So we can assume that it is possible that Taylor passed away any time after she was last seen at daycare on April 29th of 2019.
Taylor's mom reported her missing months later on November 6th, saying she woke up and the girl was gone, the back door open. Finally, we see the scene in Alabama, where police discovered Taylor's
Judge Oliver Garland was known for his nomination to the United States
remains on November 11th, buried in a shallow grave. There's also video of Williams' interview with detectives.
This interview footage is especially interesting because Brianna refuses to cooperate with investigators, showing from the beginning that she likely has a lot she wants to hide, and she knows that there is nothing that she could say that would make her appear any less guilty.
You from Alabama?
I don't want to talk.
You don't want to talk? Okay.
Investigators come in and tell her they need to ask her about what they've found in Alabama, but she tells them she doesn't want to talk, and they leave.
One of the many things that made this case so crazy is that there were so many red flags that signified that Taylor was being abused by her mother, but people either ignored them or just didn't see them. Even Taylor's own extended family members said that they had not seen her in over a year before she was announced missing.
We are now getting new insight into the disappearance and death of 5-year-old Taylor Rose Williams. Her mother, Brianna Williams, has been in jail since Taylor was found dead in November. Prosecutors say she maliciously punished or even caged Taylor, contributing to her death. And documents released this week show some of her closest friends agree.
So multiple people suspected that little Taylor was likely being abused by her mother, and yet nobody called the cops or even bothered to have a wellness check done on her. This is probably one of the most unfortunate parts about this story. Taylor's murder could have probably been prevented if just one person stepped in and did something.
Cowards.
Even just the state of the apartment that Taylor and Brianna had been living in would be enough for anyone to see that something was clearly not right here.
One friend and former co-worker told police she thought Williams had starved.
You know why they didn't call? Because they thought it was okay. A lot of them thought it was okay. And some of them think it's none of their business. And the other ones just don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? That's why they didn't call. It's none of their business. They're not gonna do nothing about it. It's only their business if it's happening to their family or to them. That's how it is out there, bro. People don't give a damn. They only look out for themselves, man.
The girl to death. Several said she punished her daughter for hiding food, and one said she assumed the girl was dead when she heard she went missing. Williams is a former Navy Chief Petty Officer at NES Jax, has pleaded not guilty to aggravated child abuse.
Another woman who actually helped Brianna move out of her old apartment and into her new home also came forward. She said that on the day of the move, Brianna was acting very strange. Still, nothing could have led this woman to believe that the actual reason for Brianna's bizarre behavior was because she had just killed and buried her own daughter.
These two women, Brianna Williams and Tiffany Nicole, met through a Craigslist request. Williams wanted to hire someone to help her move. The price, $250. Tiffany Nicole and her fiance went to an apartment here on the South Side. This is where Williams and her daughter Taylor lived.
Tiffany's gut told her that there was something very off about this whole situation, but she didn't know what it was, so she didn't ask questions.
Wow.
She just completed the job that she had come there to do.
Tiffany Nicole and her fiance moved boxes. She says Brianna told...
Listen, if it was me and I'm helping you do all that shit, my ass gonna be looking around and shit. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you seem suspicious, nigga. I'm gonna be asking questions. You ain't gonna stop me. It's either you answer these questions or I'm gonna leave. And when I leave, I'm coming back when you're not here to look around. I don't give a fuck. What? Bro, especially when it seems like a kid is being abused or, you know what I'm saying, mismanaged. Nah, man, I don't play with that. If I find one sign that a kid or, you know what I'm saying, something crazy is going on, I'm gonna be coming back. I'm gonna be trying to come back and talk to you. I'm gonna be like, hey, look, something don't seem to be right. Are you all right? Is something going on? Do you need help? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to see if I can help you with that shit. And while I'm trying to help you out, I'm gonna try to find out what you're hiding, bro. You can't, people like this can't be getting away with these things like that. Y'all gotta speak up, man. That's crazy.
Her that there was a child in the home, but Tiffany wasn't so sure.
She had mentioned to my fiance, he said that she had a daughter in the bathroom, and he heard water running, but again, never saw or heard a child.
Tiffany also said that Brianna stayed in a back room for the majority of the time that she and her husband were moving the boxes and said very little to them. But things continued to get more and more weird.
Nicole described the apartment as disgusting. When everything was loaded up, they came to this house in Brentwood. Nicole said that's when things became a little more bizarre.
That's when she was really weird for me, because she went straight from her car to the back of this like concrete 2-car garage type thing and just sat in the back.
Once the move was done, Williams paid $50 more than expected.
Could the reason that Brianna gave the movers such a generous tip be because she wanted to try to keep them quiet about the deplorable conditions they just saw inside of her old apartment? Maybe. But Tiffany thinks that there was something even darker going on with this whole encounter.
Now that Nicole knows something suspicious was happening, she believes Williams tried to set up her and her fiancé for missing Taylor Rose, because days later, police called her. Nicole is saddened that the little girl she never saw is dead.
When it came time for Brianna to make her plea in this case, she did so virtually, and she couldn't have seemed more bored during the court proceedings. She plays with her nails, looks away, and seems to care very little about what's going on. Despite initially pleading not guilty, Brianna must have eventually realized that the evidence against her was so great that there was no way that any jury would ever find her not guilty. So she changed her plea.
A Jacksonville mother pleads guilty to murdering her 5-year-old daughter, then dumping her remains in Alabama. The former Navy petty officer for his class now faces up to life in prison.
You believe that this is in your best interest?
Yes, sir.
Apparently, spending 2 years in jail awaiting her trial still did not make Brianna have any sort of remorse for what she did to her daughter. In court, she was again stone-faced and emotionless.
Brianna Williams has been in jail for the past 2 years, and from day one, she's been suspected in her daughter Taylor's disappearance and death. And now, since she's pleaded guilty, her charges have changed to second-degree murder. Brianna Williams gives the judge a clear answer as she announces her guilty plea for second-degree murder in her 5-year-old daughter's death.
The judge gave her a chance to reconsider things right before Brianna confirmed her guilty plea.
Do you want to go forward with your plea today?
Yes, sir.
In court, more information was revealed publicly about the state of poor little Taylor's body when it was found. It was clear that she had been tortured for a long period of time leading up to her death. What kind of monster could keep their daughter caged up day after day and refuse them food? Clearly, it could only be someone with no compassion.
Where's the dad? That's what I want to know, man.
And no humanity. And now, because her attempt to end her own life failed, Brianna would have to face the consequences of what she did.
Brianna Williams is back in court on May 11th. They will have a hearing to schedule for when her sentencing hearing will be. The judge says she faces a minimum of 20 to life in prison. I also did reach out to Taylor Williams' family today. They did not wish to comment.
In the months following Taylor's tragic death,
more
information continued to come out about Brianna and her history. What might she have experienced throughout her life that would have turned her into someone who would kill their own child? Taylor's uncle, the man who ultimately raised her, came forward for an interview. He said that he did not see any signs throughout Brianna's younger years that she had the capacity to do something like this.
He told me yesterday that Brianna was always a nice...
That's not what I want to hear, bro. You gotta tell me why you haven't checked on the daughter. I blame you for part of you.
Very smart girl. In fact, she graduated at the top of her class in high school back in 2010. And he says she never got into any trouble growing up. So this is a huge shock for him and his family, he says. Now, Boyd Jackson, that's Brianna's uncle, says he and Brianna's aunt raised her from age 6 to when she graduated high school. And then she joined the military, calling her the daughter he never had.
Can you imagine raising a child as your own and thinking that they turned out so well, only for them to go and do something as horrific as this? The fact that he was so close to her and still saw no signs makes it all the more disturbing.
Jackson says Brianna's dad wasn't around and her mom was not able to raise her at the time. He and his wife had Brianna live with them. Now, he showed us pictures from Brianna's prom and her pictures of her growing up yesterday and says he hasn't talked to Brianna in 3 years. The last time he did speak with her was when Brianna brought Taylor back to the house she grew up in to visit here in Alabama.
Of course, now we know that the reason that Brianna probably wasn't bringing Taylor around her family was because it would have been obvious to them that she had been being neglected.
Jackson says he doesn't think that she cut ties with the family. Instead, he blamed the lack of communication on her busy military work schedule. And he says Brianna, again, never got into any trouble growing up, and this is not the child he and his wife raised.
The shock is obvious on Brianna's uncle's face as he tries to put into words the fact that the person he knew and loved did something so evil.
I mean, I'm trying to wrap my mind around it like anybody else would. I mean, this situation, I mean, it's just something that doesn't happen. You know, anybody, you don't see that happening in your family. I mean, you don't think that, you ever be sitting where I'm sitting right now.
Some other information also came out about Brianna's private life and the kinds of things that she enjoyed in the bedroom. Brianna was reportedly very into BDSM and was known to get wild and even dangerous with men while having relations with them. This might have been one of the few times that people actually saw the dangerous side come out of Brianna before Taylor was ultimately killed. On the day of Brianna's sentencing, the judge provided a long statement.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. If you go ahead and take your place at council table, make yourself as comfortable as possible. We're here this afternoon in the matter of State versus Brianna Williams, and is present along with Mr. Beard, her counsel for the state.
He showed that he had clearly thought about this case a lot and took time to reflect before handing down the sentence.
And it's important to recall that we are here today on a sentence for second-degree murder. The defendant was originally charged with a series of crimes involving child neglect, as well as essentially providing false information to law enforcement. Those were dropped in light of the plea to the pending charge. She's not charged with those any longer.
Because Brianna pled guilty to second-degree murder, the other lesser charges were dropped and could not be considered as part of her punishment.
Although child neglect became relevant, her lying to the police became relevant, but I'm not fashioning a sentence in light of that. They are taken into consideration, and I just want everyone to be aware that my focus is only on what the law allows me to be focused on, which is the second-degree murder itself.
The judge also said that he would be taking Brianna's past military service into consideration when laying down the sentence.
She volunteered to serve and served honorably. The reviews that I received regarding her performance is responsible for.
Fuck all that, bro. What you mean she volunteered to serve and serve honorably? Forget all that, man. Forget all that. Matter of fact, life is just too long, man. You know what I'm saying? Make it quick. Make it snappy. Assign her to the chair, the electric one, plus some needles. She deserve that. I don't give a damn. No way. No. That's why I can't be a judge, man. That's why I can't be a judge. You can't be allowed to live through this shit. I don't give a damn.
Overseeing her work. We're all outstanding. They recommended early promotion in every one. She served well.
The judge acknowledged that Brianna not only starved Taylor, but continued to fail her as a parent every day leading up to the day she died.
So based on the following factors, I'll tell you the conclusion that I believe most appropriate. Again, in considering the allegations of second-degree murder, the evidence before the court is that the victim was not valued from the time of conception by either her father or mother, that her mother suffered, the defendant, from an eating disorder, that the father complained that the victim was not being properly fed. The defendant then removed the victim from daycare approximately 4 months to the victim prior to the victim's death. Taylor remained home alone and unprovided for throughout that time period.
Finally, it was time for Brianna to meet her fate, life behind bars.
Coming now to the sentence, if you please stand with your attorney. Considering the aggravating and the mitigating factors, wanting to ensure that the community is protected and that a sentence is rendered in a way that does not dishonor the death of Taylor Rose, the court sentences you to life in prison. Madam Clerk, can you give me credit for time served, please?
While Brianna herself did not say anything in court, she did write a statement that was read aloud. In that statement, she apologized for her horrific actions. The statement read, "I failed as a mother, a protector, and as a decent human being. I didn't take advantage of any timely opportunity to right my wrongs. I apologize to everyone affected by this tragedy. I am punished every day since losing my baby. Rest in peace, Taylor Rose Williams." Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.
You know, there's one thing I don't get. Where's the dad? Where's the other family members? The uncle talking about, oh, he did not see that coming. But you telling me just because she went away, she moved, you couldn't find a way to get to her, to go to that place? You never even went once to visit to see what's going on? Where's the dad? And the dad, did I just hear the dad made a complaint that the child wasn't being fed properly? Isn't it time for you to step up and do something about it? If she's doing all that, shouldn't you have some kind of gut feeling that your kid was not, you know what I'm saying? What the hell, man? That is crazy, bro. That's insane. That's insane, man. If you can't manage the child, if you have a kid and you can't, you know what I'm saying, treat them right, properly, you know what I'm saying, give them up to CPS, bro. Give them up to another family member, bro. Give them up to somebody else that will do the job right. Don't do that, man. Don't do that shit, bro. That's crazy. There y'all have it, man. Let me know what y'all thought when y'all first saw this video. You know what I'm saying? Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with your friends, family, and your grandma. You know what I'm saying? Without further ado, man, that's all. We out.